It's a lot of rubbing to do. Are you sure you've got it level? It looks a little bit higher on the right. So yeah, that's the story of the stolen Mitsubishi Eclipse. Welcome to the Church of the Creator. Yeah, we're back at Sunday. Yesterday, I got the back end refaced, and I got loads of little bits of filler in, just finishing off any pinholes that were left over. I'm going to do the same with the bumper. Need a little bit of filler in there, just really runny stuff. There's some pinholes under here, like there, a couple of little bits there. So I'll get some filler in them and then I can rub all this and it'll be ready for primer. So a bit of satin black. Just going to dust it over, give it a guide coat, and then I can see what's going on as I'm rubbing it. Jonathan's over there in the background. He's adjusting the suspension. The suspension went in the car, but we didn't adjust it at all. It was just as it was set. It was going to have to get done at some point anyway, like the lowering. I figured today was a good day for it. I've got some filler in these pinholes now. It's quite warm in here today though, not complaining, but my filler didn't half go off fast. I missed a bit of filler. Damn it, Janet. Right, I'm going to hit this with some 180, see what it knocks back like. There's some areas on it that might need something a bit rougher. So as I rub this, you can see what happens to the high bits and the low bits. So the high bits go light and the low bits stay dark. So just a quick rub over there, you can see this is all ripply, and it is because I sprayed it on like, it goes on like, I don't know, chocolate or something. It's melted chocolate, it's all ripply. But so the name of the game with this, there you go, you see all that rash over the top. You see that? So high, still some low bits in there. There you go. So there's areas where there was pinholes that I've really hammered it, you know, to try and fill the holes with the reface, so it makes it go like even ripplier, if that's a word. As you rub it, the tops come down, they meet the lower parts, and then that tells you that you've got a smooth surface. Now there's a few pinholes here, you'll see like a really high bit there. See it? That was literally where the spray gun was. And there's a little bit of filler there that we didn't get that pinhole. So that's with 180. I'm going to grab some 80. Otherwise I'll be here all day rubbing this. The only thing with using this is I'll have to rub it, you know, give it a quick rub with the 180 just to get the 80 grit scratches out. So I'm going to jump between the two, because where it's needing quite a bit, it's going to be a lot more efficient using the 80 grit. See, I'm hitting that with 80. We haven't went through the reface yet and we've still got low bits. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to 80 it first and then buzz over it with the 180. See, we've still got low bits there. And it doesn't matter if we go through the reface, because we're priming anyway. The best way to look at this stuff is really to consider it as a filler, not a primer. But all these little dimples would show up in paint if we didn't get them out. There's another really high bit there where I was blasting it. And as soon as you touch it, it shows up. So I think what I'm going to do for this section, I get the long block on it and just make sure we keep it flat. I've just opened the window, the door, so let a bit of light in and a bit of fresh air in, and now I can't see because the sun's absolutely blinding. It's definitely too bright. My old pal Ozzy's just turned up at the garage come to see us, so he's been watching my videos and he knew I'd be here, so he's called in. Nice to see him. I haven't seen him for about 10 years, I think, so cheers for popping in, Oz. So I'm I'm all over the place with this at the minute. We've put the clamp back on just to see what the suspension looks like. So that there now is about as low as it's going to get. It can go, you reckon, another 10 mil at the back maybe, but I like where it's sitting now, because I was just saying to Jonathan that the space there is about the same space there. Obviously it is a little bit tighter at the front, but the gap's pretty even round it, rather than, you know, having a bigger gap at the top than the sides. So I'm jumping about all over the place. I'm just like kind of hitting one bit, hitting another bit. I'm not really kind of focusing on any particular area at the minute. It's just like I see a bit and I'm like, right, I'm going to sand that. So now I'm looking at this bit and I'm going to have a go at that. I don't know whether you can see that from over there, but I've very clearly got a slightly low spot in there. Most of it's fine. That's where one of the bolts was, but it's smooth now. The main bit we've got is there, which is quite a dip. Obviously that's quite a high spot. There and there's two high spots. I mean, originally this had a massive dip over there and a bit of a one over there, but it's feeling pretty good. Just got that little bit there. There's another little bit here. There's another little bit just over there, a little bit there, but other than that, a tiny bit there as well. Obviously you can see I'm back to filler in a lot of areas. Doing this, you know, with the reface just helps. It just helps you get that level. Also, I'm gonna have to do a little. This is really tricky, this edge. I'm gonna have to mech something to go in it to just to get a couple of little bit high spots in it. It's a tricky one, that. So again, this vent is done. We've got a bit of a low spot right the way down there. It's high to the fiberglass there, high to the fiberglass there, and this bit's down. We're great all the way around here. There's a little bit of a low spot there. I'm not even looking at what I'm filming here. Quad panel's all done. Low spot there, a couple of high spots there, you can see. Now I couldn't feel it. I could feel it, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what was going on in that area. Once you've got the reface on, you can see, look at that high spot there, low spot there, high spot there. That's actually like part of the shape as well. That's supposed to be high there. I can still feel something going on in here. I need to do a little bit more in there, but all that's rubbed, needs a bit more there. This is rubbed up the side, on the top, around the back edge. I've got a low spot there. Similar around here, but I haven't done this side, and it's a lot of rubbing to do, but there's no way around it. So in places I could use the sander. On the big area, well, there's no point, because on the big areas I need to use the block, and on the little areas I need to use the little block on my hand because I can't get the sander in there. So there's not a lot of areas. I could zip along there with the sander. I could do this bottom corner with the sander. I might actually hit this bit with the sander because it's really difficult to move the block in there. So while I've been rubbing the roof, Jonathan's been making pretty colours. Are you sure you've got it level? It looks a little bit higher on the right, on the left than the right. It maybe just needs to settle down, eh? The back's not on right though, is it? Yeah. Not even touched the bumper yet. I might even start on that just for a change. Aye, just for something different to do. Just a quick explanation. What Jonathan's doing is he's creating a mould for that section there that's going to act as a bracket and like a stone guard as well. So stops anything getting up the back of the sill. is using the grommet hole that's there to act as a positioner, so when you come to put the sill on in the kit, it'll locate into that hole. I always forget what I've recorded, but I often feel like it's going to make quite a boring video. Like today just feels like, it just sort of feels like it's going to be nothing but a time lapse from today, really. I thought, while I'm rubbing this, I'm going to tell you a story. So this goes back to before Jonathan used to work for us at Backcars. That's how we met. And it goes back to before then, before Jonathan started with us. It was a late night. I was always at the garage, like working really late. I don't know what time it was, but it was dusk. It was getting quite dark. I was actually stood outside the door of the garage having a fag. Now the garage was in the corner of a haulage yard. It was sort of a bit of waste ground. It was like a unused corner of the yard sort of thing. They used to burn pallets down there and stuff like that, so it wasn't tarmacked or anything like that, and there was a pile of rubble on the entrance to this corner of the yard. Anyway, I'm stood and I could hear this car coming, and I think it was summertime, so it'll have been about 10 o'clock at night. It's like in the summer, it's not dark at 10 o'clock at night. And I see it come round the corner, the lights on and that. Couldn't see what it was. And as it drives up to the garage, he like ramped over this pile of rubble. I was like, oh my God, he's just like drove over a load of crap, like. And anyways, the car gets a bit closer. I realise it's a Mitsubishi Eclipse. I'd never seen a Mitsubishi Eclipse before. I'd seen one because they were in Fast and Furious, the green car in Fast and Furious. So this black Mitsubishi Eclipse pulls up outside the garage, and it's all done up. It's got spoilers on it, it's got stickers on it, and it's looking rough as a bear's arse. The stickers were hanging off. Anyway, I get to talking to the guy, and he says, so what's going on? Why does it look so rough? He says, well, I wanted to change it, so I started peeling the stickers off, and I couldn't get them off properly. And I'd never seen this lad before. He wasn't like part of the local car community sort of thing. So we're cracking away and that, and he explains what he's wanting to do. He says, I heard you work late, so thought I'd nip round and see if you could help us out. He says, I'm wanting it painted, and I want to fix it up again to sort of... And it had like a sticker on the back bumper that was saying about its spec, 400 brake horsepower, it had nitrous. I says, right, well, I can't get it in right now, but I can certainly, if you bring it in tomorrow, we can get these stickers that are hanging off, we'll get them off, and we'll give it a polish, so at least it looks all right, because you can't be driving it about in it like this. So he comes to the garage the next day, takes the stickers off it, and gives it a machine polish, done some other bits and pieces to it, just tidying up, And once we'd done that, it was evening time again. So he says, do you want to go for a spin? I was like, yeah, of course, man. So we jumps in the car, we goes for a rip round town, a couple of laps of the town, and then we went through the Burger King drive-through, got a coffee, parks up in the middle of the car park. Anybody from Carlisle knows the Burger King days. We pulls up in the middle of the car park, and for people who don't know, that's where all the car crew hung out, but the Burger King car park. So I'm here putting my sugar in the coffee. I looks up, well, I seen like blue lights there, and I looks up, and there's police swarming everywhere. There's coppers coming from there, there's coppers coming from there, there's coppers coming from there. We were totally surrounded, right? The jumps out of the police cars, pretty much dives in the car, opened the door, robbed the keys out of the ignition, and then dragged this lad out of the driver's seat. I mean, this happened like that. So next thing, he's in the back of the van. Hey, they put me in the police car as well. Asked us a few questions and that, and explained what had happened. And they says, right, you've got to come down to the police station to make a statement. Turns out the car was stolen. Because I don't watch the news, and I was constantly at the garage. I don't read the newspaper or anything like that. It turns out that the Sun newspaper had been, well, what happened was he'd nicked a car, a Fiesta, I think, been driving about in that, but then this guy was selling a Mitsubishi Eclipse. So he went to have a look at it, pretended he was going to buy it, and had a look around the car and that. He was sat in the guy's living room. When the bloke went for the toilet, this lad just picked up the keys off the table, jumped in the Eclipse, and done one. Left the Fiesta and everything. Obviously the guy had reported it to the police, and Shane he was called, the guy that owned the car. I'll explain how I know that in a minute. So anyway, he'd nicked this car. He was obviously crazy. Like, what he'd been doing, he was driving around the country, going to cruises, turning up at a cruise, and then spending half an hour there and then disappearing off again. So obviously the police were looking for the car. The lad got in touch with Max Power, Shane, that owned the car, got in touch with Max Power, and he got in touch with the newspaper, and he says, right, my car's missing. So the Sun newspaper had actually been putting up a map of where the car had been spotted around the country. Now, like I say, I didn't know anything about this, but they couldn't catch him, because every time he turned up somewhere, he wasn't there long enough, and he was gone again. We decided to go to the police station and make a statement, and they explained it, that that it had been in the paper, and the Sun newspaper were looking for it. Max Power was putting stuff up about it, and because it had been missing for like 2 or 3 months there. And it wasn't as if it was stashed. It was getting spotted. People were seeing this car, but they just couldn't catch him. They were going to do me for handling stolen goods, because I took the stickers off the car and I took speakers out of the car, because he asked me to take the speakers out of the car. He's going to put some new speakers in, so he said, but obviously it was all bullshit. Anyway, they let us off with it, because they could see that I wasn't, doing anything criminal, you know what I mean? There was no intention of any naughtiness sort of thing. And I thought that was that. A few weeks later, I don't know how long it was, but a while later, I get this, was it a phone call? I don't know, I can't remember. I don't know how the guy got in touch with us, but like the owner of the car got in touch with us. It must have been a phone call, because, it was. He phoned us. He says, what do you know about my car? And I says, well, what car was it? And he says, Mitsubishi Eclipse. And I was like, oh, awkward. He says, obviously you were involved with it. I want to know what happened. I says, well, I wasn't really involved with it. I says, how do you know I was involved with it anyway? And he says, well, maybe you want to go and buy the Independent newspaper, because you're on page 3. I was like, right. He says, when you took the stickers off my car, you put your stickers on my car. So I'd put back car stickers in the rear quarter window, nothing massive, but I'd put back car stickers on it. So that's how we'd found out. Like, he's thinking, who the hell's back cars? He looked up the website and that, found us, and then rang us. And it was that was an interesting conversation. Obviously, he understood that I wasn't like the police, that I wasn't doing anything intentional. So that's the story of the Mitsubishi Eclipse. It was an absolutely bizarre experience. I've never been involved in car crime or anything like that, and that's just not my bag at all. By default, sort of thing. I did end up involved in the theft of a car, but it was a very rare car, and it was a very public car as well, because the media were looking for it, the magazines, the newspapers. So yeah, that's the story of the stolen Mitsubishi Eclipse. Yeah, that was one of the things with the car game that always used to do me head in. It's full of criminals. Stolen cars, stolen parts. That was back in the day when people used to go like cassetting, like stealing car stereos and that. It doesn't happen so much back now like it did back then. But I always used to think, fucking hell, this industry's full of criminals, until I got into the tattoo industry. and then that was a whole nother level altogether. Because believe it or not, there's a bunch of them in the tattoo industry as well, in it and around it. That's me done for the day. I'll be back here tomorrow, so I'll get finished rubbing all this. Just shows you how long like this. I got here at what, we got here at about 12:30, wasn't it? So it's 6 o'clock now, so 6 hours sanding. My hands are killing, so I'll get off, go and get a hot bath, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.